And so I said earlier, this is the analysis of what was happening within that 3 years from 2021 to 2024. So COVID-19 hit Ghana in 2020, early 2020. This was what was happening. We had COVID-19 and then production began going down. We were not producing, schools were closed down. Some companies were closed down because when they produce, they can't even export them because some borders were closed. Some little production went down. And even pubs, hotels, restaurants, a lot of them were closed, and big ones that used to generate revenue for the government were closed down because of COVID-19. And so when they are closed down, what will happen? This aggregate supply curve will rather shift outward. Why? Because production has fallen. Now here, when production increased, it shifted inward. Now production has fallen, so it will shift outward. So the aggregate supply curve shifted outward because of less production. So we're not producing that much. That's what caused the aggregate supply to shift. So there was a shift in the aggregate supply curve. That's the short run aggregate supply curve. Now, let's see something here. Aggregate demand. Aggregate demand was also touched by this shock. Why am I saying that? The government was still giving money to people to support their businesses. Some villages, some towns, people will just go and register 10 numbers and they will be given money. Some 800,000. So a lot was going on. There was a tax cut, reduce the tax for some people, some lump sum tax. So we were getting things, So if you were initially you were taxed 3,000 out of the 10,000 as your salary, and the government tax cuts part of the tax, it means you are receiving 9,000. It means taxing you just 10% of it. 9,000 as your income. And when income increases, so the aggregate demand shifted outward because income increased. The government supported people, businessmen, and also even light was free. So if you were paying light and you were paying electricity, you were paying water bill out of your income, it became free. So within that short period of time, your income has increased because you are not paying them anymore. You are keeping those money. And that's what led the aggregate demand to also shift. So the aggregate demand in Ghanaian economy shifted outward like this. Like that. Sorry. Like that. Like that. So this aggregate demand now is here. AD is here. AD star. Now short run aggregate supply star is here. So this is where Ghana came. This is where Ghana came. And let me say this is where we are now as an economy. This is where we are. Now here the GDP is hovering around 76 billion US dollars. US dollars. This is where we are now as an economy. Now let's see something here. Within 2020, 2023, from 2021, that the inflation rate was 9%. Because of the shock, inflation rate has moved past about the 17%, the previous inflation, and it was hovering around 41% at the end of 2023. 2023 last year, annual inflation rate is hovering around 41%, and even in 2022, inflation rate was about 31%. So it tells you that the shock pushed the inflation rate up to this point. Now, what are we going to do? This is an inflationary gap. In economics, that's how we call it. Now, you do two things. It's either you leave it for the invisible hand, the interaction of forces of demand and supply, to bring it back to equilibrium, or you will tackle this using policies, that's the contractionary fiscal policies, and then contractionary monetary policy. But I think here the fiscal policy rather would work where you cut government spending and you increase taxes and you increase interest rate to implement that. So this is where we are now as an economy, and let's see how it's going. We will watch and place a watch on how the economy is going, so, and how the government wants us to be, or where he wants us to be. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode as I discuss with you what is happening in the economy.